Open world games are some of the best ways to lose yourself for hours, exploring massive maps, discovering secrets, and just going on an adventure at your own pace. And sure, if you want to spend some cash, there are some big games like Horizon, Red Dead Redemption, Cyberpunk. But the thing is, you actually don't need to spend a dime because in 2025, there are some incredible open world games you can play right now for absolutely free. So I don't want to waste any more time, grab a snack, let's jump right into it. Alright, starting with a game that's very recently came out, and that is Game of Thrones Kingsroad. And this is kind of what you expect from a free-to-play Game of Thrones RPG in 2025. It throws you into Westeros with an open world style setup where you can explore, do quests, and of course fight through some pretty solid hack and slash combat. The gameplay mixes action RPG stuff like looting, leveling up, and upgrading your gear, but also has that MMO vibe since you play alongside with other players. Story-wise, it loosely ties into the world of Game of Thrones, but don't expect like a super deep narrative like the book or the shows. But throughout the game, you'll be traveling across some iconic regions like the Winterfell, King's Landing, and the Wall, but ultimately it's more about giving you that Westeros atmosphere with some familiar locations and battles. Everything sounds pretty solid until we talk a bit about the monetization in the game. Compared to some of the other free-to-play games, the monetization is a bit heavy in my opinion. The game is free-to-play, yeah, but a lot of the progression and the gear upgrades feel designed to push you towards spending money, and that can be frustrating if you're trying to grind out the game for free. But all in all, if you're a big fan of Game of Thrones and like those open world adventure RPG style of games, it's still a pretty solid option on the market. But at the moment, it's currently not available in certain regions, including myself, which is unfortunate, and it's something you have to keep in mind. Sky Children of Light is a beautiful, cozy, social adventure game with an incredibly cute art style. So you basically start in this hub island kind of place, then you can fly between different realms, and each realm has its own theme, and you can explore, find spirit remains, collect winged light, so your wings can fly further. There is not much fighting or combat, it's more about exploration, helping lost spirit, lighting pathways, meeting other players, and doing these small puzzles and platforming, and it is honestly a very relaxing experience. The story isn't heavy or plot driven like in the traditional way. It's more about emotions, and I would say the music and the art style is a very big part of this experience. It's free to play on many platforms, which is great, and also you don't really have to pay anything to enjoy the core game or finish major content. The game is totally worth jumping into, especially if you're looking for more of a relaxing, cozy experience, and if you like games where exploration, atmosphere, and the social interaction are much more important than combat and fast-paced action. This is absolutely the game for you. Next up, we got the First Descendant. It's kind of like a mix between Destiny and Warframe. It's a free-to-play looter shooter where you team up with other players and run missions and take down big bosses to grind for better loots and upgrade for your character. Technically, it's not an open world game, but there are some larger semi-open world areas you can explore. There's a bit of a story there, like the humanity fighting to survive against these alien invaders called Vulgars, but honestly it's more of a backdrop for your action than a deep narrative. What really stand out is the visuals and the gunplay, and the game looks absolutely gorgeous, and some of the abilities for each character feels flashy and fun to play around with. If you got few friends who love looter shooter style of games, there is a lot of co-op action, huge boss fights that actually feel pretty epic. But on the flip side, the monetization is usually these free-to-play stuff like the cosmetics, battle passes, and some grindy elements that can tempt you to spend some money, but still it doesn't hard lock content behind paywall, which is always great. But all in all, if you're into looter shooter style of games and looking for something new, it's a very solid option on the free to play market. Palia is another awesome, cozy life simulation MMO that is way more chill than your typical adventure game. There is no larger PvP action or monster battling or anything like that. Instead of you spending more time gathering materials, doing quests for villages, farming, cooking, decorating your home, fishing, hunting, and ultimately building up your home state. The world has several larger regions to explore, each with their own vibe. Story-wise, Palia starts with when you're waking up in this world called Majuri, joining the villagers and trying to figure out what's going on, while also becoming a part of that community. The narrative has some mystery, there are some small quests from the NPCs, but it's almost a very warm, relaxing, casual experience, and the game lets you explore the game at your own pace, doing small tasks like decorating, fixing up your home, stuff like that. On monetization, this is one of the strong points for the game. It's totally free to play, and they don't force you to buy anything that affect gameplay progression. The store is mostly for the cosmetics, outfits, tool skins, pets, things like that, which is always what we expect from a good free-to-play game. Moving on from cozy games to a zombie apocalypse, next up we got Unturned. It's a free-to-play, low-poly zombie survival game, kinda like a mix of Minecraft and DayZ. The game has a very large open world to explore. You basically spawn in this world, scavenge for supplies, build bases, and try to survive against hordes of zombies and sometimes other players. There isn't really a story, it's more about this sandbox survival experience where you can make your own adventure. Despite having very simple graphics, the survival mechanics and the PvP elements can get pretty intense and can be a very rewarding experience, especially got few friends to play alongside with you. As for the monetization, the base game is 100% free with only optional cosmetic upgrades like the skins and some character customization. Honestly, if you're into survival or just wanna mess around with friends in the open world full of zombies, this game is highly recommended. Moving on to our next game, we got Throne and Liberty, and this is basically Amazon's new big free-to-play MMORPG that kind of feel like a mix of classic MMO and with some modern day touch. The world itself is absolutely massive with castles, dungeons, big open fields, even weathers that can change how you fight. You get the usual classes, but instead of being locking in, your weapon kind of define your playstyle, which is nice if you're someone who like to switch things up. Story-wise, it's not going to blow your mind, but there's a main narrative about warring kingdoms and ancient powers that give you a reason to keep exploring. The combat is pretty action oriented, leaning more towards that big group battles and PvP, so it's really shine when you're in a large scale fight. Monetization is where the game gets a little tricky. It's free to play, but there are battle passes, cosmetics, and of course some convenience items that can give paying players a bit of an advantage. Still not the worst I've seen, but just something to keep in mind. Alright, when we talk about free open world games, Genshin Impact is basically one of the biggest free-to-play open world games you can dive into right now. It got this massive anime style world where you can run around, climb mountains, glide off cliffs, and just explore at your own pace. The combat feels really smooth with different characters using unique weapons and elemental powers, so swapping between them in a fight makes things way more fun than your typical average RPG. The story-wise, it's about searching for your lost sibling in this magical land, but honestly the main pull is how beautiful the world is and how much there is to discover. Now this is a gacha game, so unlocking new characters and weapons come down to your luck, and some people ended up spending money for characters they want, but the good thing is that you can play the whole game completely free without paying. It just might take a longer time to build up your team. But all in all, if you're into open world adventure games that mixes of exploration, combat and chill vibes, this is one of the most popular games to play right now. And if you're playing the game on PC, remember it's only available on Epic Games Store. STALCRAFT X is a free-to-play MMO FPS that blends that eerie atmosphere of Stalker series with a voxel-based graphic from Minecraft. It's a quite underrated game and I haven't seen a lot of people playing it or talking about it recently. But anyway, the game's set in this Chernobyl exclusion zone and it offers both PvE and PvP experiences, allowing you to explore, fight mutants, and engage in these faction-based conflicts. The gameplay is surprisingly immersive with smooth mechanics and variety of weapons and gear to enhance combat, while the storyline provides some depth, but the game's open world design encourages you to do a lot of exploration and interaction with other players. When you talk a bit about the monetization, it handles through that pay for time kind of model where you can acquire items faster or purchase cosmetics, but everything can be obtained through gameplay as well. Somehow if you got few friends who love this style of post-apocalyptic open world adventure games, this is hands down one of the most unique games to play right now. Wuthering Waves is no doubt one of the most popular free-to-play games to play right now in 2025. It's very similar to something like Genshin Impact, and it got that smooth, flashy combat and a massive open world to explore. You play as the rover waking up in this post-apocalyptic world with no memory, and as you journey through, you team up with other characters and they're like elemental powered allies, each with their own vibe and abilities. The combat is super satisfying. You can dodge, counter and chain attack in a way that feels really fluid. Plus the parkour mechanic is very solid. Grappling, wall dashing, gliding around the world makes exploring feel effortless. The story is pretty interesting, but I would say it's a kind of a mixed bag. But on the other hand, the world is beautiful with top tier visuals, especially if you're playing on a good PC or a mobile phone. But all in all guys, if you're into anime style action RPG with a massive open world to explore with fun combat, it's a very solid option in 2025. Moving on to our top spot, we got Once Human. It's a game that kinda need no introduction now, but it's a post-apocalyptic free-to-play survival MMO with a creepy sci-fi twist vibe. You get dropped into this world that's been taken over by these weird alien-looking things called Stardust, and everything feels very strange and unsettling, almost like a mix of Last of Us and a survival sandbox game. The gameplay-wise, it's what you expect from a typical survival game, gathering resources, crafting, building your own base, and teaming up or fighting against other players. There's a larger open world area you can drop in, and the story isn't super in your face, I would say, but there's a bit of a lore about humanity fighting against this infection that adds a bit of a nice backdrop to your exploration. And as for monetization, it's a free-to-play game with optional cosmetics and battle pass and stuff, so you don't really need to spend money unless you want something really extra. And the game does support on PC and also on mobile with cross-platform and cross-progression, which is always a plus. So overall, if you're into survival games like a bit of a horror mixed in, it's a very popular game to jump in right now. Well, there you have it, guys. 10 awesome free open world action adventure style of games you can jump in right now in 2025. And if you have tried any of these games, let me know down in the comment section which is your favorite. And also don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Stay tuned to the channel for more up-to-date free-to-play content. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys soon in the next one. Stay safe.